So next one is getting started with SRE, where you're going to see where does this SRE came from, and we're going to learn how to talk about SRE with the team and explore next steps for adapting SRE. So what happens is SRE sounds great, but to let you know where does it come from, and more importantly, how do we start using it in our organization? So the first thing is SRE was pioneered by Google. Um, the same thing like Kubernetes, because I think Kubernetes also have come up from Google. So, but again, SRE has initially started in 2000s, and the reason they brought this to solve the challenges of running large scale complex systems while maintaining the high reliability. Yes, I think they're the first set of people who has actually brought in large scale machines, because they wanted to cater a lot of people around the world, right? So they have a lot of systems, they have a lot of data inside them, so that they can handle all our searches, right? Because previously, a few years back, everyone for any doubts we used to search. So to handle that, yes, Google has a lot of systems. So what happens is while maintaining the reliability, the key shift here is they have to apply the software engineering principles to the operation problems. That's the one thing. I mean, like, you'll keep on hearing it again and again and again, because that's one thing that we have to remember, because it's not just only about operations, but it's also about software engineering part. So why does this matter? Why does this SRE matters? So what happens is the traditional operations team, we know the ops team, we call it as, they manage the reliability through the manual work. So what they do is they check for the systems, they check if anything is down, if the network is okay, or if any of the CPU, the memory is could not scale up or could not catch up with the speed or could not catch up with the efficiency. So they will keep on increasing, or they'll keep on maintaining the reliability through manual work. So they don't have any automation part. So what happens with the SRE is the SREs changed these manual work by introducing automation, by introducing error budgets, and also by I mean, like, successful that in Google, I mean, other tech giants like Facebook, Amazon, Netflix also has adapted these similar approaches. They don't adapt the same feature, but they approach a similar feature. Like, as I told you, Netflix is a very big example of handling using SRE. Next to Google, Netflix is, because their main part is reliability. Right? Touch wood, like, I've never seen Netflix being gone down. So the next part is how to talk about SRE with your team. So when introducing SRE, you will likely meet some skepticism, like, because changing is hard. Because from your current role, it's for those who are in the SRE teams, but I'm just telling you that how to convince your organization to adopt SRE. Or if you are into an SRE team, how are you going to adapt yourself to that SRE team? So the first thing is, if you join as an executive in the SRE team, you have to focus on business benefits, like, for example, the cost reduction, the efficiency, and innovation of speed. I mean, innovation, like the speed thing. If you are an engineer, if you join as an engineer, you have to highlight how the SRE reduces the manual work. So you have to identify the manual work, and you have to identify how can you increase automation for them, so that the life gets easier. And if you're a customer, anyways, at this point of time, we are not any customer for SRE engineers, but still, what the customers will think is, they always think for better system reliability. So you have to think in terms of them. Like, you have to think in terms of the customers. You have to put yourself into their shoes. You have to make sure that there are, like, lesser outages and there's an improved user experience. So to achieve that, what you have to do is you have to focus on small wins. So when I say small wins, you have to start with one aspect of SRE. Like, you cannot do everything all at one time, but you can start one at a time. Like, that is like introducing error budgets or doing blameless postmortems, so that you're going to start with one aspect of SRE and you're going to slowly implement them, and you're going to learn them. Like, so you start with, okay, let me start with the error budgets part. So how am I going to do it? And you can start doing that. And also you can show how small improvements lead to reliability gains. That is by building momentum. So after speaking their languages, and after focusing on small wins, now we are going to see how to make it collaborative. So SRE is not just for engineers, it's a cross team effort, because it involves developers, testers, operations specialists, and the leadership team, right? So it has to be a collaborative approach, and we have to foster a culture of learning and adaptation. And it's not just enforcing SRE as a strict role. So we have to be, it has to be like a you have to follow a culture of learning, and you have to follow a culture of adaptation. So you have to learn and you have to adapt them, right? So the next steps for adapting SRE is, the first thing is you have to assess your current reliability state. So you joined some team. So your first task is to assess your current reliability state. So you have to identify the pain points. That is, where do the failures commonly happen? Yeah, so you have joined a team and you're given some tasks. So the first task is you have to proactively find where does the failures commonly happen. And the second thing is you have to define the key reliability metrics, that is the SLIs and SLOs. The second thing is you have to start small and automate, like I told you, small wins. You have to find the repetitive tasks and automate them. For example, like it can be a monitoring, and even we did, right? We did a monitoring automation example. So where if the application went down, we trigger an email to the stakeholders, right? The same thing, you have to do it for the monitoring. For deployment rollbacks, yes, we have to write YAML files to do the deployments and deployment rollbacks. And we have to reduce the manual effort in incident responses with playbooks. And then the third thing is we have to keep on implementing the SRE best practices. So when I say implementing the best practices, you have to establish the error budgets to balance the reliability and innovation. And you have to conduct blameless postmortems to learn from failures. And you have to introduce chaos engineering to test your system resilience. And finally, you have to build a collaborative culture. So it's not just about only you, it's about a collaboration. So you have to encourage the teams to work together, because SRE is not just ops or just operations, it's an engineering mindset. So what happens is, as part of this collaborative culture, you have to keep on continually learning through training, through internal discussions, and through knowledge sharing. So this is what is going to happen. So as I told you earlier, so what is your role? What is your day-to-day role? What are you going to do? So you have to uh, assess the current reliability state. That's the first thing. You have to start small and you have to automate things. You have to implement the SRE best practices, and then finally you have to build a collaborative culture. So overall, what is the takeaway for this slide? How are we going to get started with SRE? So the first thing is, SRE is not an overnight transformation. It's not like something like a overnight magic. Nothing is going to change. It's a journey of incremental improvement. So you'll have plan something in your first PI. You'll have a next incremental plan in PI2, PI3. So that's something like that, right? So it's a journey for incremental improvements, and it's also about the shifting of the culture. It's a cultural shift, and you have to follow some smart reliability practices. So the key is to start small. That's what I was saying about the small wins. So you have to keep on. You have to start small. You have to show value, and you have to scale up. So that's the way you can start with SRE, and you can excel in SRE as an SRE engineer. So the next thing is, what is SRE?